So now that we've had the iPhone 14 Pro Max for about a month now, I wanted to see how it stacked up against the iPhone 13 Pro Max and see if it was a worthy upgrade. I truly believe that we've reached peak iPhone form factor, at least for now. So it looks like Apple's just in this refinement cycle year after year, trying to squeeze out every ounce of value from each iPhone year after year. So that's what the story of this review in comparison is going to be. It's going to be all about refinement and making sure that Apple's getting as close to perfect as they can with the current state of the iPhone. So today we're going to be going over three main things. We're going to talk about those new cameras on the 14 versus the 13. We're going to talk about the display on the new 14 Pro Max and that dynamic island. And then finally we'll talk about battery and performance because they go hand in hand. And we're going to see if the refinements to those three things are going to be enough to get you to upgrade from a 13 Pro Max to a 14 Pro Max. So without further ado, let's get into it. But before we get started, a quick word from our sponsor, iCareFone Transfer.
Apple just released their new iPhone 14 lineup of phones, and you might be in a situation where you're switching from Android to iOS for the first time, but you use WhatsApp as your main form of communication. Channel partner Tenorshare has you covered with iCareFone Transfer. Simply download the iCareFone app, plug in your old device, either Android or iOS, back it up, then plug in your new device, and in just a few minutes, all of your data will be imported and transferred onto your new device with zero data loss and zero need to factory reset either device. iCareFone supports every single iOS version from iOS 1 to iOS 16 and supports Android 2.0 all the way to Android 12. On top of that, you can select what type of data you want to transfer like videos, images, files. Check out iCareFone with the link below, and 9 to 5 Mac viewers will get 30% off. Thanks again to Tenorshare for sponsoring this video and partnering with 9 to 5 Mac.
So before we get into actual tech specs of each device, I just wanted to talk about the overall feel of each one, because this might be the only section of the video that you need to make a determining factor as to whether or not you want this iPhone 14 Pro Max over the 13 Pro Max if you are upgrading year to year. And the overall feel is that they feel exactly the same. There have been multiple instances where both of the phones are laying flat on my desk and I go to grab one of them because I need to use the camera or shoot a text message, and I grab the 13 Pro Max, and it's not until after I use it for about a minute or two that I realize, oh wait, there's no dynamic island. This is the 13 Pro Max and not the 14 Pro Max. So from a feel standpoint, if you're coming from the 13 Pro Max, it's going to feel very, very similar, if not identical, from a user interface standpoint, from an iOS 16 standpoint, from a physical hardware feel, because the fit and finish is still very premium, so you still have the nice glossy and shiny edges of the stainless steel. It still feels boxy. It's the same exact size. The camera bump is a tiny bit bigger on the 14 Pro Max, but you're not looking at that ever because, again, it's on the back of the iPhone. From a weight standpoint, they're pretty much identical. So overall, from a feel standpoint, if that's the only test that you need, and this is, again, my personal use case, they feel exactly the same. But now that we got that stuff out of the way, let's get into the camera section of this video, because that is where most of the main improvements from a tech spec standpoint were really, I guess, quote-unquote improved. So actually, in the beginning of this video, you might have noticed that we were using two different camera angles. This main camera angle, I was using 4K cinematic mode on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and on this angle over here, I was using cinematic mode on the 13 Pro Max, but cinematic mode on the 13 Pro Max only goes up to regular 1080p, versus on the 14 Pro Max, you do get 4K resolution. So that's one of the first upgrades, from phone to phone that we do see on the cameras. Secondly, from a hardware perspective, we are getting a brand new 48 megapixel main sensor on the 14 Pro Max compared to the 12 megapixel main sensor on the 13 Pro Max. Now again, from an on-paper standpoint, it's 4x the amount of megapixels. It should give you a 4x higher quality photo. But overall, the photos that were already taken on the 13 Pro Max were more than crisp enough, especially when you were in great lighting conditions. It wasn't windy, it wasn't cloudy, it wasn't dark. From a photography standpoint, it looks very, very similar. And then also, by default, on the 14 Pro Max, it's actually binning down from that 48 megapixel sensor to 12 megapixels to make sure you're not taking up a ton of storage space locally on your iPhone. Because with a 48 megapixel sensor, the images that come out of that sensor are anywhere from 40 to almost 150 megabytes in size. So if you take anywhere from like 100 to 200 photos, you're taking up a lot of storage on a baseline iPhone in terms of gigabytes of storage with just images. So from a hardware standpoint, that is pretty much the biggest difference. You have that 48 megapixel sensor on the 14 Pro Max that does bin down by default, but you can actually toggle that switch off and on directly from the camera app, which is very easy. And then on the 13 Pro Max, you actually get just a 12 megapixel sensor, which is totally fine. And then the last thing Apple is giving us on the 14 Pro Max over the 13 Pro Max is this new action mode shot, or this action shot that Apple introduced in this new iPhone. So basically what they do with that is they take the ultra wide lens, because it does use the ultra wide lens by default, it crops it in, and it stabilizes the image in real time right on your phone, which from my testing is actually really cool, and it works extremely well. So it's like you have an Action Pro camera built right into your iPhone, where you don't have to go into a post-editing software to stabilize that footage. One thing to note about this action mode is that it is capped at 2.8K in terms of resolution, so you don't get a full 4K, but again, to each their own. If you are in great lighting conditions, that won't matter, and it does crop in relatively intensely to make sure that, again, that the image is moving around, it can actually stabilize and you have one main focal point in the middle of that action shot. So from a hardware perspective, like I mentioned, you have that 48 megapixel sensor, that was the upgrade. You have 4K cinematic mode, which is an actual upgrade, which you cannot do on the 13 Pro Max. You have the action mode, or the action shot mode that Apple introduced, that's also on the 14 Pro Max. And then it also updated the selfie camera on the front of the actual iPhone. That 12 megapixel camera now has autofocus and better depth of field with a better f-stop compared to the 13 Pro Max. But again, I was never yearning for a better selfie camera because I only use it for FaceTime, me personally. So those are all the differences between the two cameras on the 13 Pro Max and the 14 Pro Max. So now that we got the cameras out of the way, let's talk about the displays on both of these devices, because there are some hardware upgrades on these devices that are worth noting. So firstly is the always on display on the 14 Pro Max. And what allows the 14 Pro Max to have this always on display is that they have a new technology, a new LTPO screen on the actual 14 Pro Max that allows it to go from a variable refresh rate of 120 Hz all the way down to 1 Hz. Very similar tech that was brought over to the Apple Watch Series 5 when that always on display on the Apple Watch was introduced. And the only reason the iPhone 13 Pro Max can't do it is because even though it is kind of the same display and it still has a variable refresh rate all the way up to 120 Hz on the 13 Pro Max, the lowest setting for that screen is 10 Hz, and at that point at only 10 Hz to bring it all the way down, you're draining a lot of battery. So I'm sure Apple could turn a switch to give you some sort of always on display on the 13 Pro Max, which is over here, but it probably wouldn't be worth the battery losses that you would get on the 13 Pro Max. But with the 14 Pro Max, you do go all the way down to 1 Hz to allow for that always on display. Now me personally, I turned off the always on display because the implementation was a little bit different. Apple did it in their own fashion. People were expecting to see a much darker display, a much more dimmed down display, and something that would give you pretty much just like the time, the date, maybe the weather, and then some notification badges, very similar to what Google does with their Google Pixel lineup. But the always on display is a little bit more on the bright side, and it still shows you your entire lock screen. So a lot of people using the always on display thought that their phone was still turned on, even though it was just dimmed down with the always on display feature. So I personally turned it off because I thought it was draining a little bit of battery. There's been some battery testing online that's saying that the always on display only drains about 4 to 7% battery throughout the day if you keep it on. But again, I like to turn that off, so I did turn it off. The second upgrade to the display was the different brightness levels. So on the 14 Pro Max, there's actually 3 new peak brightness levels. You have the indoor peak brightness, which is 1000 nits. You have the HDR peak brightness, which is 1600 nits. And then you also have the new 2000 nit brightness of outdoor use, which I will say is extremely bright. But one thing that I did notice about the 2000 nit brightness display when you are outdoors is that it tends to overheat your iPhone relatively quickly. And once that does happen, then the phone automatically dims all the way down and really makes it tough to see. So in practice, in theory, it works well when it does work. And it gives you a very extreme brightness level on an outdoor iPhone use. But if you're outside for a long time, and normally if you're outside and the brightness needs to go to 2000 nits, that means the sun is out, which means it's going to heat up the phone even more so. Overall, updates to iOS 16.0.3 have helped alleviate that issue a little bit, but I still see it from time to time. And then if you compare that to the 13 Pro Max, it still has a variability in brightness levels for indoor, HDR content, and outdoor, but the peak brightness for the 13 Pro Max is 1600 nits compared to 2000 nits on the 14 Pro Max. But let me know if you guys can actually even tell a difference when it comes to these iPhones when I'm showing them on the screen right now. And then the last thing about the display is obviously Apple finally got rid of the notch on the 13 Pro Max, and on the 14 Pro Max, they included the dynamic island. Now I have a whole video, which I'll link down below if you guys want to check it out, showcasing every use case that we have so far of what it looks like on the 13 Pro Max versus the 14 Pro Max. But think about it as just a new, way to interact with your phone a little bit, kind of like a taskbar for your 2 or 3 most recently used apps. Again, you get live activities in there. It's a new UI. Again, from a function standpoint, it doesn't do too much in terms of efficiency and value. From a form factor standpoint, it looks pretty cool. People seem to really like it. It seems very friendly, very easy to use. And I've said this before, just because Apple's introducing a new feature or something new to an iPhone, it doesn't need to change the game from a productivity standpoint. It could just be like a cool thing that was added to the iPhone, and to each their own. I think it's more of a form over function thing when it comes to the dynamic island, but the nerd in me thinks it is very cool with all the UI implementations, how well it works, and overall it is pretty cool. I will say that it does cut into video when you are watching stuff in full screen. It is a little bit more intrusive than the notch was when it comes to actual screen real estate being taken up on the top side of your iPhone, but you do get used to it over time. It's just a matter of if you like it or not, so that is more of a subjective thing than an objective thing. So now let's talk about battery and performance. So from a performance standpoint, both of these phones are pretty much rocking Apple's latest and greatest. You have the A15 Bionic on one side, the A16 Bionic on the other side, and they can pretty much handle every single thing that you throw at them, right? From simple things like iMessage, Safari browsing, some YouTube viewing, some Netflix viewing, all the way to emailing, to video editing on LumaFusion, to photo editing in Lightroom and other applications. Like, it can pretty much handle everything that you throw at it, and that's always been the case for Apple's Pro lineup of phones. So I personally haven't seen a use case where I'm throwing something at the iPhone 13 Pro Max that I can't handle that the 14 can. So gaming is optimized perfectly, especially if you're using Apple Arcade games. Like I said, it could do a lot of productivity stuff like email, photo editing, video editing, and from a leisure standpoint, it works amazingly as well. So from a performance standpoint, both of them can handle pretty much anything that the App Store has, and you'll be happy with either of them from a performance standpoint. And then from a battery life standpoint, this is where things got a little bit iffy because we're not sure if it's a hardware thing or a software thing, but it looks like the iPhone 14 Pro Max hasn't really lived up to the hype from a battery performance standpoint compared to the 13 Pro Max. The 13 Pro Max was the battery king. It lasted at least a day. It was definitely a 2-day phone with medium use. But with iOS 16 on the 14 Pro Max, it hasn't been the same story. I've been getting down to about 19% at the end of the day versus on the Pro Max with iOS 15, I was finishing the day at like 45%. So again, to each their own, depends on which iPhone you're using, which iOS you're on. Apple is trying to alleviate a lot of battery issues with the 16.0.3 update that they just released, which is ideally optimizing iOS 16 a little bit more. But again, there are things that are helping battery drain, right? iOS 16 is a very UI heavy update when it comes to all the different lock screens and the focus modes. You know, you have the always on display now, you have widgets on your lock screen. There's a lot of different things that Apple added, which could be a reason why the battery is being drained, because the battery is draining more on both the 13 Pro Max and the 14 Pro Max. But I will say that the 13 Pro Max is handling iOS 16 a little bit better from a battery perspective. But that is pretty much going to do it for this actual comparison, right? The main things that you want to take into account on whether or not you want to upgrade from the 13 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max. You have the 48 megapixel sensor on the camera, you have some cool new features in the camera app like that action mode and 4K cinematic mode. 4K cinematic mode is actually awesome and I do really like it. But that is pretty much all you get from a camera standpoint. You get the new selfie camera as well, which is cool with better autofocus. And then from a display standpoint, you get the always on display, you get the new dynamic island, you get new levels of brightness, and then performance, they're pretty equal. Like, it's hard for me to be like, hey, the iPhone 14 is $1,100 better from a performance standpoint than the 13 Pro Max, because that is just not the case. So if those main differences on the camera and the display are worth it to you at $1,100 to upgrade from the 13 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max, then who am I to say that this isn't the phone for you? By all means, go for it, go buy it. But I feel like for a lot of people, this could be the year to actually hold off and see what they do with the iPhone 15, especially because the iPhone 15 is supposed to come with that touted USB-C, which is something that I would love to have from both a charging standpoint and also a data transfer standpoint. But that's going to do it for this video, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my take on comparing these two phones because they're both great phones. It's hard to go wrong with either of them, especially if you're coming from older devices. Like, if you find a used 13 Pro Max and you're coming from an iPhone 8 or something, jump on that as fast as you can. But also, if you're coming from an iPhone 8 or iPhone 10 and you want to go 14 Pro Max, you're going to be extremely happy with what you get out of it. But if you're coming from the 13 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max, it's just a very tough sell right now, in my opinion. But hey, if you want the 14 Pro Max, go for it. You're going to love that phone regardless of what I'm saying right now. But that's going to do it, everybody. If you did make it to the end, I know this was a little bit of a long one. Leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And definitely stay subscribed for more stuff like this because we will be doing an iPhone giveaway here very soon in one of these upcoming videos. But that's going to do it, everybody. Leave some comments down below of what you think about the iPhone 13 versus the iPhone 14 and everything in between, and see if it's worth it for you. I'm always curious to know what you guys are rocking from an iPhone perspective, especially now that the pre-orders and the orders have gone out to most people. But that's going to do it. If you guys want to watch some more iOS, iPadOS, and macOS content, click on one of these videos right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando. I'm out of here. Peace.